Hello and welcome to today's video. This is your host Yavash signing in, and today we are going to cover a video that was posted about a year ago in a similar fashion by the Political Chatter. Political Chatter, in their video, which they analyzes elections and politics, posted a video about the Democratic candidates be on a primary for the 2028 presidential election. Today we want to cover a different video of that one with the Republican candidates being in a Hunger Games simulation for the 2028 presidential primary. The candidates in the Hunger Game are consistent of declared candidates such as Dan Greene from Massachusetts and Commander of U.S. Border Patrol at large, Gregory Bovino, who declared their candidacy. It also includes candidates who have been speculated by the media, such as Thomas Macy and other candidates who have been speculated by the media, will be included in this Hunger Game. There are some candidates that will not be included in the Hunger Game because they have declined a run for presidency as of now. Those candidates are included as former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, former South Carolina governor and candidate for the U.S. presidency Nikki Haley, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, the widow of Charlie Kirk and CEO of Turning Point Eric Kirk, the son of U.S. President Trump Jr., and former Vice President Mike Pence. It also includes the current Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Indiana Governor Mike Braun. With this, we're going to look at the list of candidates for this Hunger Game. Our game is going to include 12 districts, with the first district as the popular district. The candidates are going to be popular going into this primary, and the District 12 as the underdog district. District 1 is going to be the Secretary of State Marco Rubio and U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. Our District 2 is going to be U.S. Senator from Texas John Cornyn and Vermont Governor Phil Scott. Our District 3 is going to be Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and daughter of U.S. President Ivanka Trump. Our District 4 is going to be U.S. Senator from Texas Ted Cruz and Georgia Governor Brian Kemp. Our District 5 is going to be U.S. Senator from Missouri Josh Hawley and Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Our District 6 is going to be Congressman Thomas Macy and U.S. Senator from Kentucky Rand Paul. In District 7 is going to be U.S. Senator from Louisiana John Kennedy and former UN Ambassador Elise Stefanik. In District 8 is going to be Congressman and candidate for U.S. Senate in Michigan Mike Rogers and Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. In District 9 is going to be U.S. Senator from Ohio John Husted and candidate for governor in Ohio and former candidate for the seat Vivek Ramaswamy. In District 10, we have candidate for South Dakota Governor Tony Doden and Congresswoman Ashley Henson. In District 11, we have DHS Secretary Mark Wine Mullen and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. In District 12, we have our two declared candidates. One, Simpson writer Dan Greene from Massachusetts, and we have Gregory Bovino, Commander at Large of U.S. Border Patrol, who has formed an informative committee. And now, with that, let us start our game. Now, before I start reading what the game is going to do for us, there's a couple of disclaimers I want to address. One, this is supposed to be for fun, so don't take this seriously, as we're going to go through the game and see everybody. Two, the realistic part of this is going to be when we have alliance they make during the campaign. When they eliminate somebody, is like during the presidential debates, they do something that eliminates someone else or winning in a state. And another way it is like how they betray each other or how they do stuff is how they campaign and what they stand for. And this game is a little bit closer realistic of what people want to do in this game. With that, let's go ahead and do day one. As the tributes stand on their podium, the horn sounds. Josh Hawley takes a sickle from inside the cornucopia. Okay, interesting. He takes a sickle out. Phil Scott, Elise Stefanik, and Tony Doden work together to get as many supplies as possible. This is an insane alliance I'm seeing here is the governor of Vermont, former UN ambassador, and Tony Doden, which is interesting. Two people who are along with Trump, and then someone who has been trying to distance himself from Trump. Interesting alliance there. Ron DeSantis with a hatchet. And here we go. A first person that is now gone. Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, is killed. And it's interesting because they're both looking for securing the borders, and Bovino goes ahead and kills DeSantis. I'm not surprised Bovino is the first one going for it. Dan Greeny rips a mace out of Thomas Macy's hands. Interesting there. I didn't expect that to happen. Mikey DeWine finds Ashley Henson hiding in the cornucopia and kills her. Interesting so far because Henson is a bit young, is younger than Mike DeWine, and then she gets killed by DeWine, governor of Ohio. I'm also surprised that DeWine went there when he found Ashley Henson. JD Vance and Sarah Huckabee Sanders fight for a bag. JD Vance gives up and retreats. Why did you pick this fight, JD Vance? And it was just interesting that Vance picked this fight. Pete Hegseth runs away from the cornucopia. Interesting. He's gonna run away. Defense. Rand Paul convinces Brian Kemp to not kill him, only to kill him instead. Interesting betrayal there. Rand Paul goes ahead, kills the governor of Georgia. He's the second one out of this primary. Brian Kemp is now gone. Mike Rogers severely slices Ted Cruz with a sword. Here we go. U.S. Senator from Texas is now gone. Ted Cruz is no longer with us. John Husted rips a mace out of John Kennedy's hands. Everybody is violent today. What's going on? Everybody's violent. Mark Weinmullen, Ivanka Trump, and Marco Rubio work together to get as many supplies as possible. Interesting so far, they're all Trump allies. I mean, why not? I mean, Ivanka's daughter of the president, so makes sense. And interesting alliance there. John Cornyn runs away from the cornucopia, and Vivek Ramaswamy takes a handful of toy knives. Interesting. Let's proceed. Thomas Macy steals from Rand Paul while he is looking in day one. Interesting. Tony Doden picks flowers. Interesting update from Tony Doden. Dan Greeny fishes. JD Vance chases Josh Hawley. Hmm, that's interesting. Pete Hegseth dies trying to escape the arena. And there we go. Secretary of Defense. He's now gone out of. John Husted strangles Vivek Ramaswamy after engaging in a fistfight. That's interesting here. Two Ohio guys go after each other. DeWine searches for a water source. Marco Rubio and Mark Weinmullen work together for the day. Interesting alliance there. Ivanka Trump searches for firewood. Elise Stefanik tries to spear fish with a trident. John Kennedy sprains his ankle while running away from Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Interesting that John Kennedy is running away. John Cornyn explores the arena. Mike Rogers tries to sleep through the entire day. Gregor Bovino receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. You don't want to get that man explosive. Bill Scott constructs a shack. And with that interesting update, let's look at our death tally. 6 cannon shots is fired, of course, because you had 6 deaths. Now let's look at the districts over there. We can see the District 4 is completely wiped out. There are District 3 that we see Ron DeSantis is out, and pretty much everybody still on play. We have some deaths also in the lower districts. Proceed with the next day. Lets Thomas Macy into his shelter. Interesting there. Phil Scott kills Ivanka Trump with a hatchet. There we go. The daughter of the US president is now gone because Phil Scott goes ahead and kills her. Mike DeWine tends to Mark Mullen's wounds. Interesting there. Elise Stefanik sees a fire but stays hidden. Interesting. John Husted thinks about home. Okay. Tony Doden is awoken by nightmares. Interesting there. John Cornyn, J.D. Vance, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders sleeps and shifts. John Kennedy loses sight of where he is. I mean, he's old too. That could happen. Rand Paul, Josh Hawley, Dan Graney, Mike Rogers, and Gregory Bovino sleeps and shifts. Insane alliance. Okay, into the next day, Marco Rubio explores the arena. John Husted sees smokes rising in the distance but decides not to investigate. J.D. Vance diverts Dan Greeney's attention and runs away. Elise Stefanik collects fruit from a tree. Phil Scott receives medical supplies from an unknown sponsor. John Kennedy dies trying to escape the arena. It happens then. Mike Rogers camouflages himself in the bushes. Mark Y. Mullen is picked by thorns while picking berries. Rand Paul tries to spear fish with a trident. Josh Hawley is picked pricked by thorns while picking berries. Thomas Massey fishes. Sarah Huckabee Sanders receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Oh god. Tony Doden injures himself. Mike DeWine picks flowers. Gregory Bovino steals from John Cornyn while he is in liquor. Interesting that. And obviously, two cannon shots can be heard for Ivanka Trump and John Kennedy. And with that, looking at the districts that we have, there's not a lot of change, so we can expand our next day. Now, night two, John Cornyn tries to sink himself to sleep. Mike DeWine goes to sleep. Thomas Massey tracks down and kills Mark Y. Mullen. Interesting so far, they had a very brawl fight in real life. Now Massey goes and kills him. J.D. Vance attempts to climb a tree but falls on Rand Paul, killing them both. We have a lot of people going on. Mullen is now gone, Vance is gone, Paul is now gone. John Husted starts a fire. Dan Greaney and then Stefanik tell stories about themselves to each other. Interesting. Josh Hawley tends to his wounds. Gregor Bovino and Tony Doden talks about the tributes still alive. Sarah Huckabee Sanders lets Marco Rubio into her shelter. Phil Scott begs for Mike Rogers to kill him. He refuses, keeping Phil Scott alive. Interesting that Rogers spared him. Day 3, Marco Rubio hunts for other tributes. Gregory Bovino tries to spear fish with a trident. Dan Greaney and Elise Stefanik fight Thomas Massey and John Husted. Thomas Massey and John Husted survive. Interesting there. District 12, Dan Greaney and Elise Stefanik are now gone. Tony Doden severely slices Mike DeWine with a sword. Now Mike DeWine is now gone. Mike Rogers, Phil Scott, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and John Cornyn hunt for other tributes. Alliance there. Josh Hawley explores the arena. And obviously, we're going to heard six gunshot. Now we had District 11 gone, and some of the other districts are going to have a lot of people gone. You have a very good balance still. We have some of the people from the upper district, District 1 and 2 still in game. You also have people from the bottom district still in play, and it's going to be very, very exciting to see what's going to happen here. Mike Rogers receives fresh fruit from an unknown sponsor. Tony Doden receives clean water from unknown sponsor. Marco Rubio and Josh Hawley talk about the tribute still alive. John Cornyn receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Phil Scott dies of dysentery. Now you have Phil Scott, not gone. Gregor Bovino goes to sleep. Thomas Massey and John Husted huddle for warmth. Interesting. Sarah Huckabee Sanders bleeds out due to untreated injuries. Now Sarah Huckabee Sanders is also not gone. Cornucopia is replenished with food supplies, weapons, and memoirs from tributes families. John Husted decides not to go to the feast. Tony Doden the same. Thomas Massey, Josh Hawley, and Mike Rogers. Marco Rubio decides not to go. Bovina decides not to go. And we have John Cornyn bleeds out due to untreated injuries. So now John Cornyn is also gone. Marco Rubio, Gregory Bovina, Tony Doden, John Husted, and Josh Hawley hunt for other tributes. Thomas Massey injures himself. Mike Rogers thinks about home. And as expected, 3 cannon shots are going to be heard. We have now a lot of districts gone. District 2 until District 4 is also all gone. We have a lot of other districts that still have 1 or 2 people in, and it's just getting down to the wire. We'll see which district is going to win, especially District 10 and 12 are still alive. We are now into night 4. Josh Hawley fends Tony Doden, Mike Rogers, and Marco Rubio away from his fire. Interesting. Gregory Bovino receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Why is he getting explosive? John Husted defeats Thomas Massey in a fight but spares his life. Interesting. They fight each other, but Husted decides to let him go. Next day, Gregory Bovino chases Mike Rogers. Josh Hawley camouflages himself in the bushes. Marco Rubio chases John Husted. Interesting. Tony Doden tries to sleep through the entire day, and Thomas Massey searches for a water source. Arena event. Wolf mutts are let loose in the arena. Gregory Bovino survives. Mike Rogers knocks Thomas Massey out and leaves him for the wolf mutts. There we go. We have Tony Doden is eaten by the wolf mutts. District 10 is now also gone. John Husted survives. Josh Hawley survives. Marco Rubio is crushed by a pack of wolf mutts. District 1 is now also have his guy gone. As expected, 3 cannon shots are going to be heard around the arena, so that's going to be that part. And we have now a lot of districts that are gone. None of the top districts are still in play. We have the middle districts in play, and District 12 so far has their guy in play. Alright, to the next day, John Husted tends to his wounds. Gregory Bovino lifts Mike Rogers into his shelter. Interesting, and Josh Hawley dies from hunger. Now Josh Hawley is gone from District 5. Going to the next day, John Husted tends to Mike Rogers' wounds, and Gregory Bovino searches for firewood. So we only have 1 cannon shot being fired because of Josh Hawley, and it's getting down to the wire. Only 3 people left. And okay, let's see who's going to win the nomination. And it seems Mike Rogers falls into a pit and dies in night 6, and Gregory Bovino stabs John Husted in the back with a trident. So we're going to have a winner. Gregory Bovino, Commander at Large of U.S. Border Patrol, wins the nomination, and based on this Hunger Games simulation, he's going to be the Republican nominee for president in the 2028 presidential election. This is the Hunger Game. Let me know what you guys thought. Thank. Tell me how did you like this video, and if you want us to do even more of these videos on simulation style. Again, Gregory Bovino wins the nomination, and he's going to be the nominee. And based on that, he did good. He got a lot of people, and he still stayed in the game, and he's the nominee. Thank you for watching this video. This is Siavash, your host, signing off.